Hi everybody, I hope you're well and safe, and look at this, sunglasses, woohoo, it's about time. But I hope you're well and safe and everything, and everybody's not too bored at the moment. Well, after last week's success of the box and the trays, which are brand new from Maver, the amount of people that's actually come in and commented is unbelievable really. So because of Trevor Price down at Alders Farm, he's doing all these, anglers are sending them from all over the country, and it's a great thing that he's doing, and we're all trying to help, and it gives you something to look at while you're isolated, and you can actually improve on your fishing equipment, your fishing setups and everything like that. If you haven't seen my seat box and my side trays, you can go on my webpage, and you can go on Alders Farm Facebook page and you can see it, and it's worth looking at. Now you've probably realised by now that that I'm quite fussy on getting set up. As a coach, when I teach people, what I try to do is I've set routines that they get used to in their head, so they're actually used to doing things the whole time, i.e. with the box setups and the trays. What I'm going to show you this time is I'm going to show you how to cast. Because one of the things I take people out, they don't cast right, and that's usually because the tattle isn't balanced, the tattle's not right, the technique's not right, the way they sit and the way they cast is not right. So what I'm going to show you is some tips that might help you cast a bit better, get your accuracy a little bit better for future days. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm saying it's my way. So here we go. First of all, when you're casting, you need rods. And all I do, up to 30 metres it'll be 10, up to 40 metres it'll be 11, 40 to 50 it'll be 12, and above 50 metres usually I'm on a 13 foot, unless you know, it's somewhere else. But usually that's the distances that I look for in a rod. But what about a rod? Well, when I look for a rod, what I try and do is I try and build a rod in 3 pieces. I think a rod should be built in 3 pieces. One is the tip. I call that the fisherman. That's the third. Why they call the fisherman? It's because the fisherman looks at it the whole time. The fisherman wants to use that, and he uses that most of the time. The middle part is the elasticity, which enables you to cast. It bends and it casts perfectly. And the bottom third is called the power. That's where all the power is generated from the strong section in the book, and you as a person will be putting everything into that. The secret to building a good rod is to get the splices between them two, between the fisherman and the elasticity and the power, getting them correct. So you've got no flat spots. If you get them correct, trust me, you'll have a nice rod. So rods come in different lengths obviously, and they're used for different purposes. For example, if I'm fishing on a river, I like most of the action in the top third because I think it just keeps bending on a river, and you don't want that. You want more power in the middle, and the top section needs to be where all the action is. On a commercial, I like it to bend through, so it's nearly into the book, so I can feel the fish right down into my hands, into the book section. So that's when I'm looking for a rod, the different types of rod for rivers and for commercials. So, them's the rods. What about the reels? Now, people don't think that reels are really important, but trust me, they are. The gearing on the reels are really important. When I'm fishing on a commercial, up to probably 40-50 metres, I use a 4000 size. I don't use anything else, just a 4000 size is about perfect. When I'm fishing further than that on a big distance, I like a big reel with a long spool, a big wide spool. The line comes off nice and smooth, and it's a lot easier to cast. You can cast easy. You can see the difference between the two. It makes your life a lot easier. What I'm trying to say to you is get the tattle that makes your life a lot easier. So, what about the lines? Now the lines I use are these. When I'm on a commercial and I'm on the reel line, I just use carp feed. I'm on a 0.26. You might go, wow, that's thick. We don't need to on a commercial. You don't need all different on a commercial. Use it, it's strong. It's a commercial line. Use it, it's tough, and it won't break. If I'm on a waggler, because the carp feeder one sinks quite easily for the feeder, but on a waggler it's no good. So what I use is power reel mono. It's a better floating line, and because especially on a pellet waggler, you're in and out, you might be casting 400 times. You need a line that's not going to sink too quickly, so I use a power reel mono. But when I'm bream fishing at places like Southfield, or when I'm just out and out bream fishing, especially at distance, I use a different reel, a different line. I use Stone River. Now you might not have seen Stone River, but I love this line. It's strong, it's a low diameter. and it's a low diameter, so what happens is when you're fishing at distance, you can see that it casts easy because it's a low diameter. And you can probably see there, I've got a shock leader on, and you can see the shock leader there. And what happens is basically, if you don't know what a shock leader is, basically it's twice the length of the rod that you're using, so that when you're casting out, you've got 3 or 4 laps of the shock leader that is 0.26 of the carp mono, and eventually it's tied with the knot. I use a full water knot myself. There's different kinds of knots, but I use the full blood knot. And you can see that that is a lot smaller diameter than the main line. And the idea is that shock leader, when you're casting and giving it the power, you can cast with 0.26, but going through the air, you've only got 0.18. That's a massive difference, especially at casting, because it'll cast further, and when it's in the water. So when it's in the water, the lower diameter won't make the tip pull round as much. But I love that. I think it's a fantastic line. The combination is absolutely perfect. So them are 3 lines I'm going to be using. But what about this? One of the biggest problems I see at anglers is when they spool the line up. They put the line on the spool and they get it wrong. When I take people coaching, I see that there, lots and lots. And you can see that just between there's a big gap and there's a big resistance. So what happens is, when you're fishing, that line rubbing on that when you're fishing and casting reduces the distance you can cast. And also, because it's narrower than the line that I'm going to be using there, you can see that, because what you want to do is put it so it's just inside that outer rim. It's just inside of that outer rim, just inside of the rim there, the inside rim, and it's nice and flat, so the line lay is absolutely perfect. And the reason for that is, one, that will get you more distance because it's not rubbing on the outer rim, but you don't have to wind in as many times. Because that one is narrower than that one, you don't have to wind in as many times as well. So it's really important that you get the line right on your spool. It's a really important thing. It's one of the biggest things that I see that they actually get wrong. Now then, if you overspill it, what happens is, if you actually put too much on and it's over that, when you cast it comes out in loops, and what happens is it hits the rod rings and it cracks off. You cast out and 3 and 4 loops will come at the same time and it'll go crack, and you'll finish up cracking off. So the reel and the line lay on the spool is really important. Just make sure, all I do basically, I think there's 150 metres of line on these spools. I get it so positioned that I put 150 metres of line on, so next time when I want to change it, I just take it off, go to the knot, tie the new line and wind it on, and I know it's going to be exactly the same spot and the perfect combination. So once I've got my balance set up, once I've got my rod, my reel, my line and everything like that set up, what's the art of casting? Well, first of all, when you're casting, you need a position. When you get your spot that you're going to be fishing, what you usually do is pick a target on the far bank. Don't pick a sheep or a cow or something like that that's going to move about, because you finish up following that and you finish up fishing dot to dot. What you've got to do is go down the same spot all the time, create an area for the fish to move onto. And to get to the same spot the whole time, this is what you do. I'm right-handed, so everything that I'm going to do is right-handed. If you're left-handed, just reverse everything that I'm going to show you now. The first thing is, when you pick your target on the far bank, is face the target. Make sure that you're looking at the target, not like that and casting in front of you. The moment you cast past your body, you're going all over the place. So the first thing is to face your target. The next thing is, like I said, I'm right-handed. You put your hand on the section and you aim that rod at your target. So aim it at your target. Now what you don't do is this, and a lot of people make the mistake. They go round like that with the feet and they go around. And what happens is, I don't know if you can see that, but it's swinging from side to side. So when it's there, it will go to your right, and when it's there, it will go to your left. And sometimes you get it right because it lands in the middle. You don't want it swinging at the back of you, and if you take your rod round, that's what will happen is. So face your target, point your rod at your target, stick your arm out like that. Your right hand is your direction and your left hand is your power. So they're the two hands that you use. So what you're going to do with your right hand, you're going to bring that feeder back past the rod, straight past the rod, and then that way when you cast and it goes out, it'll go straight because it's coming past the rod. If the wind is going from right to left, you bring it past the left side of the rod, and if the wind is going left to right, you bring it past the right side of the rod. And that's because if you've got a hook length on, it can't wrap round the rod. So the first thing is to get the actual lining and the accuracy towards the target that you're going to pick. You bring it straight past the rod, and you can cast out with that. But this is where your left hand comes in. Your left hand is the power, and all you're trying to do with your left hand is the distance that you want to go. You bring it back past the rod like so, you put your left arm on and you pull it, and you pull that through. So the further you want to go, the further you pull it down. What you don't want to do is go like this, bring it behind you and just cast like that, so you're all tucked up. Use your body, use your hands, get it free, so that when you bring it past like that, your rod butt comes up, you put your left hand on your rod butt and you can cast. And you can cast, and that it can't go any other way but straight. It can't go anywhere else but straight, providing your body, your arm, your rod is facing the target that you want to do. If you want to change, if you want to go somewhere else, whatever you do, if you want to go to your right, whatever you do, don't do that, because your rod is crisscross, and what happens is it'll go all over the place. Turn your body, face your target, and go through the same routine. So the same routine, and you cast into your right. Always turn your body, face your target, put your arm out, bring it past your rod and cast it through. So your right arm and your left arm are very important to what you're going to do. Right arm direction, left arm for power. The further you want to go, the further on the butt section you pull it through, and all you do is pull it through and pull it down and cast out. And the next thing, and the last thing I'm going to show you now, is the way you hold the reel onto the rod. What a lot of people do, they hold it like that. And the way to hold it is your little finger, and you put it this side of the reel and you grip it like that. So you've got 3 fingers to the top and 1 behind. I'll even accept 2 and 2. But what I won't like is 1 and 3, with 3 going that way. The simple reason is you're transferring all the weight to the lower side of the rod. When you put your little finger that side and 3 fingers, it does 2 things. It transfers the weight to the top of the reel, so it helps you to cast, but more importantly, you can get your line more easily like that. So them's the weight what I do to hold the reel and the rod. And everything there, the rod really just wants to be just a continuation of your arm. If you had an arm 10 foot long, you'd just cast straight out with it, you'd just tie a line on with it, but you haven't. So bring it back, straight past the rod, left hand on and cast. And that way you'll get perfect accuracy, it'll help you fishing, and hopefully you'll catch some more fish. So I hope you've learnt a few tips there. It's a few little tips, it's lovely and warm. You can sort your tackle out while we're all indoors, but the most important thing is stay home, stay safe, and don't move the feeder.